I get a lot of viewer questions about this, so this is going to be a brutally honest video about the reality of YouTube and why clickbait has become a necessary part of life. I know everyone says that they hate it, but I'm actually going to tell you the truth about it. And that's that there is a good reason why clickbait exists, and not all of it is bad. So when you see your favorite channels using it, I hope that you'll consider what I'm about to tell you. It's more complicated than you may think. That's the subject of Shop Vlog number 36. So let's get started. A lot of folks hate clickbait because it has a stigma of dishonesty attached to it. But the fact is, not all clickbait is the same. Some is bad, but some of it isn't. And before I get into the differences and tell you why you may want to reconsider your opinion of clickbait, let's talk about what the heck is going on these days on YouTube. Clickbait has been around for a long time, but something has changed over the last couple of years. YouTube is not just overtly encouraging it. They almost require a channel to use clickbait if that channel is going to grow or even survive. I don't want to bore you by going too deeply into the weeds of running a YouTube channel, but I think a real turning point occurred when YouTube started messing with their subscription notification system. You used to be able to subscribe to your favorite channel with a single click. That's all it took. You'd get notifications either on your homepage or through email whenever your favorite channel posted a new video. Under that system, though, viewers tended to remain in their own viewing bubble. They'd watch the channels they subscribed to, but they wouldn't watch much content from other channels. And that was a problem for YouTube because they make their money by keeping you on this site. And they believe that the best way to keep you here is to constantly recommend new content from new channels. So they started de-emphasizing, or at least devaluing, the subscription system. For example, they stopped sending email notifications when your favorite channel posted new content, and they introduced that little bell icon. Now you have to do extra steps. You can't just click subscribe. You have to select from the bell how much content you want to see from that person. It became more complicated just to see your favorite videos. A lot of viewers didn't know about the changes or didn't bother with them. So when they stopped seeing their favorite content being recommended to them or delivered to their email, they just assumed their favorite channels weren't making any new videos. I got lots of emails and comments asking why I wasn't posting regularly, even though I put out over 100 videos a year. Why did YouTube mess with the subscription system? Well, I think the goal was to shift your focus away from your subscription list and instead encourage you to watch videos that they recommend to you on your homepage feed. To a YouTube content creator like myself, that homepage recommended feed is the most valuable real estate on earth because our videos live and die based upon whether they get a spot among all those rectangles. On that page, my video has to compete not only with other channels that you like to watch, but also a lot of crap, some of it years old, that YouTube picks for you, stuffs into that limited space, and tries to catch your interest with. Healthy competition is fine, but some might say this is a rigged game. Rigged by who? The algorithm. You see, YouTube analyzes everything that you watch, and their ever-evolving computer algorithm spits out video recommendations that it thinks will bait you into clicking so you'll stay on YouTube. So the very foundation of the platform, driven by its own algorithm, is in effect clickbait. How this works is a little complicated, but it's really revealing if you want to know why everyone is shifting to these crazy thumbnail images and provocative titles. Take me, for example. I often spend days, sometimes weeks, making a video that will appeal to my audience. But that video doesn't go out to my whole audience. You see, when I upload it to YouTube, the algorithm only test markets it in the feeds of a relatively small part of my audience. Mostly the bell ringers and some more casual viewers, maybe some non-subscribers that the computer gods think may be interested in it. That gets the video on a few of these homepage feeds, tucked in among all the other rectangles. And that is where the battle begins. Because if that video doesn't stand out enough to draw a sufficient number of clicks among that initial limited test audience, the algorithm kills it by recommending it to fewer and fewer homepages. On the other hand, if that video does stand out from the pack and generates a bunch of clicks, The algorithm deems it worth more promotion on more home pages, and more and more and more until it's finally served up to your entire audience. If it does well enough, it might be served up to tons of non-subscribers too and maybe go viral. Now this sounds relatively straightforward, but when a video's success depends not so much upon making good content that your subscribers want to watch, but upon enticing the algorithm into placing that video in a feed full of dozens of other videos that the viewers didn't even ask for, a feed that the average viewer just skims through quickly until something catches their attention, you start to see why titles and thumbnail images are so important. Now maybe you don't use that recommended feed on the home page. I generally prefer just to go to my subscription page and I click each channel individually once in a while to see what's new. But the fact is that the vast majority of YouTube viewers do use that recommended feed, and that's where channels like mine have to live or die these days. The result of throwing everyone into that limited space and saying either you get a lot of clicks fast or we're going to kill your video is to not only encourage clickbait, but to require it. It becomes an arms race where the most controversial titles, the most ridiculous images, and unfortunately, sometimes the greatest level of dishonesty wins. That's the reality of YouTube now. That's why more and more channels have had to use at least some level of clickbait. But before you say, that really stinks, you have to consider something that might change your attitude about clickbait entirely. Before we talk more about this subject that a lot of people hate, let's talk just for 60 seconds or so about something most of us love: free videos like this one. This video is free because of the family of brands I work with, including Audible. If you're looking for something interesting to listen to, go to audible.com/StumpyNubs or just text StumpyNubs to 500 500. That's going to get you a free 30-day trial and access to Audible's massive audiobook library. I love Audible. I've been a paying member for the better part of a decade, long before they started supporting this channel. Since my membership gets me one free selection a month, I've got a pretty large library of great audiobooks. As you can see, I love history. Lately, I've been listening to Undaunted Courage, which is the story of the Lewis and Clark expedition by the amazing historian Stephen Ambrose. I'm fascinated by this part of American history when explorers and traders and trappers wandered the pristine wilderness populated by the great tribes of the plains. This is my fourth or fifth time through this particular title. I highly recommend it. Of course, Audible has selections on every subject imaginable, including their Plus catalog, which offers unlimited access to thousands of titles. They even have comedy and podcasts, including woodworking. Seriously, even if you're not a reader, give an audiobook a try. You're really going to enjoy it while you walk the dog or you drive, mow the lawn, trying to ignore someone, whatever you're into. Again, that free trial is at audible.com/StumpyNubs or text StumpyNubs to 500 500. Since YouTube has made the use of clickbait almost a matter of survival these days, it's no surprise that so many channels have been forced to change the way they post videos, lest the algorithm all but blacklist their content. Some have done it in a principled way, and others have gone over to the dark side. Yes, there are two forms of clickbait. There's the good and there's the bad. Really, if you think about it, all marketing is like clickbait. It's designed to get you to consume something you wouldn't otherwise consume. Take cereal, for example. All the boxes from all the brands are packed together on that store shelf. How does one particular cereal stand out from that crowd? With compelling titles, large text, bright colors, eye-catching images. Sound familiar? As time passes and people get used to that packaging, the colors have to become brighter, the images have to become more eye-catching, and so on. If you like Lucky Charms, for example, are you going to stop eating it just because you prefer the old style of box? Not if it's the same cereal inside, because the rest is just packaging. That's all a video title and a thumbnail image is. It's the packaging. It's the way the video creator advertises his product. Some advertising is a hit, some of it isn't. Let's take a couple examples. This one has got all the classic clickbait elements. It's got an arrow, it's got some words in all caps, the call to action suggests this video is really important. It definitely caught my eye, but it didn't tell me enough about the video to draw my click. So this I would call a marketing failure. It's not a moral failure. I'm skipping the video because I'm not interested, not because I feel like I have to take a principled stand against yellow arrows or capitalized words. This one is intentionally vague too, but the image appealed to me because I'm a fan of Barney Fife, so I clicked. Turns out Andy didn't like the mayor character. It was an interesting video. I'm glad I didn't skip it because I wanted to protest against the use of funny facial expressions or leading titles. But was the title misleading? When combined with the image, does it imply that Andy hated Barney when the video reveals that Andy hated the mayor? Well, that entirely depends on how you look at it. To me, this title suggests that the two are gossiping about who it is that Andy hates. That's what the video's about. So I didn't find that misleading at all. But to someone else, it might suggest something else. That's actually what a compelling image does. It leaves itself open to interpretation, and it presents the video as the way to find the answer. That's not misleading, that's compelling. Of course, some folks do stretch that too far. To me, this title and image implies that the content creator is about to share his unfavorable opinion of the actor who plays Captain Obvious on the television commercials. But I know from past experience that this channel uses intentionally misleading clickbait. I don't trust his packaging anymore, so I just won't waste my time by clicking on his video. And there's the difference. You see, not all clickbait is the same, just as not all regular bait is the same. When I go fishing, I put bait on my line to attract a fish with the promise of a free meal. I want him to consume something, the fish hook, that he wouldn't otherwise want to eat. So my true intention isn't to provide the meal that I'm advertising. It's something else entirely. And that's what bad clickbait is. It's lying to your potential viewers to get them to watch something that they really don't want to watch. But not all bait has the same nefarious purpose. When you put seed in a bird feeder, you're baiting those birds. You're luring them to a place they wouldn't otherwise go. But you fulfill your promise. You give them the meal they advertise, and you don't give anything bad with it. Take Colin's videos, for example. He uses bright colors, funny faces, silly poses to stand out. I'm not personally a fan of the funny face trend, but it's not dishonest. The titles might contain some hype, but they still represent what the videos contain. Is this clickbait? Sure it is. But it's more birdseed than fish bait. It's a wrapper that may or may not interest you. That's your call. But there's nothing unprincipled about funny faces and compelling titles as long as they don't misrepresent the actual content of the video. So when people say to me, "I'm unsubscribing because you use clickbait," I ask why. If you liked my video 5 years ago, you should still like them now because the videos haven't changed. They're still, I think, well written and produced. They're educational. They're designed to make you a better woodworker. The only difference is the wrapper has had to evolve with YouTube. Because I, frankly, work too hard making what I think is good, valuable content to let the YouTube algorithm kill it because I refuse to use red arrows or capital letters or compelling titles. My wrappers are interesting but honest. They're birdseed. They're not fish bait. And that's what most reputable YouTube channels have started doing. There are some holdouts, but a lot of them are struggling to get the views that they had before, and it's not going to be long before even they start using a little honest clickbait too. That's simply the reality of the YouTube platform. It's not them being greedy, trying to get more and more views. It's them trying to survive on this platform. Eventually, this trend is going to reverse. The algorithm is going to change and everything's going to swing back the other way. In the meantime, I'm just going to continue to make the same quality woodworking videos, and I hope you continue to watch despite the wrapper. See you next time.